Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Well, lads and lassies, grab yourself a pint and pull yourself up a chair. It's time for another episode of the Soul Sessions. I am your host, Soul. Now, back in the day, the Black Eyed Peas, they had this hit single, Where Is the Love? But they can rest now because we have found it, because joining us, Kirsty Love herself. Welcome to the Soul Sessions.
Hi, thank you very much.
Oh, an absolute pleasure, Kirsty. Now, of course, with every guest, you know, every guest has a story and every story has a beginning. How did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
Well, as a wrestling fan, it had two stages to it. Like when I was like a lot younger, I would watch WCW with my brother, and we'd just like always pretend wrestle. He would like be like The Rock, but obviously he watched both products, whereas I was mainly into WCW, and I would always be Sting. But that kind of fizzled out a bit because I got really annoyed every time he would record over like my cartoons with wrestling. I ended up developing a weird hatred for it, but it was just because I associated it with I'm losing my cartoons. And as I got older, like into my teenage years, like I started to get really into the games, which like made me go into watching the actual product. And I decided I'm going to give this a shot. And I just did a lot of research on how to like become a wrestler. It took me quite some time to like figure out that there's actually UK schools. I thought I was going to have to try and save up and go to America and learn, but here we are. I learned at Scottish Wrestling Alliance back in Linwood.
Fair play to you. Well done there. I mean, you know, if you're taping over Rugrats or something like that, then that is a bit of a crime, because that is a banger show. So let's leave the cartoons, keep them safe. They are very
leave
special.
the Rugrats alone.
Keyword of life, you can live that by. It's a good yearbook quote or something like that. You might as well embrace it. Now, of course, as well, Kirsty, you mentioned being a fan of WCW, World Championship Wrestling. It felt like, obviously, you know, fans back in the day with the Attitude Era, you know, that whole Monday Night Wars, you were one side or the other. I'm really fascinated about WCW because obviously, you know, I'm trying not to show my age here, wasn't in existence. I was still in the cosmos at that point, so I had no recollection of the old WCW. But as a fan at that time point, what was it about WCW that really attracted you to the product?
I don't know, because again, like I'm talking like I was still like about 6 or 7, like so. I was totally safe. I think it's because there was just something about it that just captured my attention. I think like because how bright and flamboyant Sting was, like he was my favorite. I think it's just because like he always caught my attention, and I loved the fact Hulk Hogan was there as well, because this is before we found out other stuff about him. Like, I was just an innocent wee child at this point, you know, relax. But it was like, because like it was Hollywood Hulk Hogan, obviously, but it's because he was there, and it just kept he was always still that icon to us, even though I'm British and like it's real American stuff. But you know what? You're allowed to enjoy things. Just enjoy things. But it was mainly because my brother would have it on, and I would just like kind of walk in and just stare at the telly.
Hey, fair play indeed. Also, you mentioned the man, the icon himself, the Stinger. Obviously, Sting retired this year after a lengthy career, AEW Revolution, tagging with Darby Allin against the Young Bucks, defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I was there, and a hell of a match. Loved the moment and everything. I would love to know from yourself, you know, growing up, you know, dressing up as Sting and being a wee fan, to see where he is now, finally retired. How would you sum up what Sting meant to wrestling?
I think Sting was quite underappreciated. Obviously, he's like more in the light again, and he's like being appreciated more. But I just think back then I think they could have appreciated him a bit more, because he would like bring in like new eras, like how would I explain it? he was a step ahead of his time always. If you get what I mean, like he was always doing something more out there that you wouldn't see. Like anyone stand. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize the notifications were on. Like for example, I have it in my head, but I can't really describe it. Like, you know how a moonsault would be considered back that time, like, whoa, what was that kind of thing? I don't think I don't believe he ever did a moonsault, but it was just that kind of. He's always like nearly setting the new trend. Like, you know how wrestlers these days, especially new ones that are trying to like up and come, they always feel like they need to emulate other wrestlers. And then there's that flavor of the month where everyone's doing, I don't know, a Canadian destroyer and kicking out of it. Do not agree with that, by the way. I'm going to stand by it. I do not agree with that. And then there's the next flavor where everyone's doing it. But instead, Sting, what would be the example I'm using for this, as in, he wouldn't do that. He would be like, right, what's the next step going to be? I'm going to be there first. I'm going to be the first guy to do that flavor of the month, and then everyone's going to copy me, and then I'll be like, boom, I'm setting the next trend kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Aye, definitely. I see it the way it's like Sting was one step ahead of the curve and a trendsetter, building upon what modern wrestling would be, now today, with, people liking to throw super kicks around like they're nothing, like they're going out of style. Oh, it's definitely not a super kick party here, so we'll put that party to the side and the balloons and all the rafters there. But obviously, Sting having his retirement match at AEW Revolution. Kirsty, if you saw the match, I want to know what your thoughts were on Sting's last match.
I refuse to watch it because if I watch it, then I know it's actually happened. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't watch the last episode of a series and it's like, no, it's still going, it's not happened yet, I should watch it. I should, but like, I don't want to see him retire. But I understand, like, he's got years and years of wear and tear, and like, you've seen him. He doesn't half-arse it. He gives it his all.
Absolutely, indeed. I was blown away getting to see Stinger in person. The many chances I've had. Obviously, there was a point where we never thought we would see Sting again because of the injury he had at WWE with the championship match against Seth Rollins, and coming back with AEW was that new burst of life. I want to know from yourself, Kirsty. Loving Sting, his run in AEW. Do you think it's so rewarding that we got that opportunity to see Sting go out in a proper way?
I'm really happy that we did get more Sting, because like that was like a career-threatening injury. Like, because he's got so many years behind him and he has that wear and tear. It gets like, when that happened, like I watched it like on the network live. Oof. It was awful. I didn't like that injury. Not the match. The match was like really good, like, but that bit at the end, it was like, And I had a feeling like that's what was coming next. Is he going to be able to keep going? But then, with like, thankfully, AEW is like, yeah, he can still go. Yeah, he can still go. Come have a watch. Like, fuck yeah. Yes, please. Sorry.
Kirsty, it's a Scottish show. We can swear all we want. It's our national pride. Don't you worry. But obviously, I think that's the thing about wrestling in the modern age, that I like to describe it as rewarding. Sting getting another run. Adam Copeland, formerly Edge, getting another run in the WWE and AEW. Saraya coming back and getting an opportunity to wrestle as well. I'm hopeful for Nigel McGuinness at All In against Bryan Danielson. I could sell my left kidney for that. Look, I've got 2 kidneys. One doesn't have to be there. I'll sell it for that match. But I want to know from yourself, getting to see wrestlers that times was cut short come back and get an achieving moment. Is there maybe some other wrestlers that have suffered an injury that you're aware of that you would love to see come back and get their final, run of glory?
Kurt Angle. Angle. He's heavily, like, when I was actually training, he heavily influenced me as well. Like, love Kurt Angle. I always study and watch his matches with like how he would actually like structure them and such. And it's like, I don't how do I word this without sounding like a bit of a bitch here. His last match against Baron Corbin, like, it was a good match, and there's something about it that just hit me wrong. I don't know if it's maybe just my way of thinking, like, this is his last match, that's him going, like I would have rather he had, no offense to Baron Corbin, but someone from the same era as Kurt Angle, like Triple H, for example. Triple H, John Cena, one of them two, and have like, I don't know, like I don't normally like very long matches, but like, you know how there's certain people that just do like 45-minute matches and you don't even realize it's 45-minute matches.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to seen like a 20 to 25-minute match with Kurt Angle and Triple H together, because I think that would be an absolute banger. And I wouldn't mind who would win that one. It would just be like, I would have the enjoyment of watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I sound like completely fangirl there, but you know what? I'm not even ashamed.
Come on. We're all hardcore fans at the end of the day, except the IWC who have, in their mother's basement with Mountain Dew bottles everywhere. Those guys. Away we go. But obviously with Kurt Angle, some people have this hard thing of identifying which was his prime. Some people say he's a WWE guy. No, he's a TNA guy. He was there more and often. So I want to know from yourself, Kirsty, do you consider Kurt Angle more of a WWE guy or a TNA guy?
Kurt Angle is Kurt motherfucking Angle. He is himself, and he is an absolute treasure to wrestling. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
Hey, sometimes option C is available on the table, and it's the best option to take.
Yeah, Kurt Angle's there, I'll watch there. If he's there, I'll watch him there. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily like only WWE, only TNA, only AEW. It's like, I'll watch bits of it, I'll watch all of them, sprinkle together.
Apparently that's hard for some people. See, apparently that's hard for some people to digest. You have to be loyal to one company, apparently. I don't know why people have that mentality. It's like, it's not like Triple H is holding your wrists and you can't change the channel. You can multitask, guys. You're okay on that standpoint.
It's all right.
But some people with Kurt Angle, they mentioned some of the great matches. Obviously, Ken Anderson in TNA, Brock Lesnar at Mania, Eddie Guerrero. I want to know, Kirsty, if you have to give me your top 3 Kurt Angle matches of all time, I want to hear them.
One's a bit controversial, I'll have to say.
Shoot it.
You know who I mean. Yeah,
is this Mr. Arrow 404 who's not meant to be on the network?
It's Chris Benoit. He was a very talented wrestler. Like, unfortunately, there was some issues going on that caused a horrible tragedy. And I'm just basically pointing out just the sole part of the wrestling. Like, I loved his work. His work was very good. And that was one of my favourite matches with Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Then I would say Kurt against Rey Mysterio as well. They were belters. And it's a tough one. I think I'd say Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero.
That, you know what? Minus Mr. Benoit, you know what? Good matches indeed, all around. Absolutely. Now, of course, Kirsty, once a fan, always a fan, but you would take that one step further and be the fan that would get inside the squared circle. And I've always been fascinated about the evolution of the UK scene, of how it was, nothing, then absolutely populated, and then a wee bit of a die-down period, and now flourishing again. And I remember seeing McIntyre's documentary on the WWE Network about how he had to travel all the way down south just for one wrestling school in the UK. I want to know from yourself, when you started up in the business, was there quite a lot going on within the UK scene, or was it quite barren and you had to really travel to find somewhere?
It really depends who you ask. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Or how you view it. Like, there wasn't many training schools in Scotland. I think there was maybe 3 altogether, and I'm including like Fife.
Oh,
That's just off the top of my head. Like, I'm sorry if I forget anyone from that time. You know, it was a long time ago. It was a good 14 years ago that. But I saw Scottish Wrestling Alliance, which was based in Linwood, and I started there. And they would have shows like once a month, but you earned your spot just because like you trained there now and then doesn't mean you are entitled to the spot. You have to train, you have to help advertisement, you had to put the graft in, you had to be there to set up the ring, disassemble the ring, load the fan, so on and so forth. You worked for your spots. There is no ring crew. You are the ring crew. Which, like, in retrospect, it was tough at the time, but I'm glad they did that with me because it just it makes me who I am today, you know. It
absolutely.
was a lot harder back then, I would say, but I'm glad it's a little bit easier. But you know, sort of part of me is like, I think you should put up that ring, not instead of like having someone else. It's like, I think you should do it. Learn how this is sorted.
Well, hey, think about it. You know, you fought the trenches, you came out a battle-hardened warrior, and, you know, the youth this day and age, they maybe need to pay their dues and understand the old respect and get it going, but hey ho. But I am fascinated, obviously, with the UK wrestling scene. There was a bit of a dip, and I think a lot of people think that was due to NXT UK and obviously the global shutdown. Do you think, you know, NXT UK overall had a benefit to the UK scene, or do you think, hang on now, it kind of drained the independent scenes of the UK a wee bit?
Well, I think it was a good thing because it did put the eyes on the UK scene, because there is so many people in the UK scene who work their heart and soul into this graft. Like, they eat, sleep, drink wrestling. Like, well, I can't really put it any more than that. And like, they got noticed for it, and I think it was good because like, it's hard. It's really hard. Like, before NXT UK, it was hard for us to get to the US. And now, because the eyes have been put on us, I think we've got a better chance of actually being looked at. Yeah, it kind of drained the scene a little bit, but that just means, like, right, there's more spots open. Put the effort in, and there's no reason. It shouldn't be a reason why you can't be snapped up. But you know, sometimes there's other factors and things like they're either ridiculous or you just can't do anything about it.
Aye. Fair play indeed, obviously. And, you know, maybe a wee bit of drainage, but that leaves opportunities for people to step up and take that spot and, you know, become something from it as well. And obviously, you know, the Scottish scene right now is thriving, and we're being rewarded for that with, you know, our first WWE PLE. You know, Clash at the Castle Scotland's coming over for the Hydro. Yeah, Beauty, no longer traveling down south 8 hours to London.
Yeah,
No longer 10:50
exactly.
at night. Beauty days ahead. I want to know for yourself, Kirsty, do you feel a sense of pride knowing that WWE have chosen to come over and bring a PLE to Scotland?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's really good. It puts more eyes on like the UK in general. Like, it might even encourage people to come and watch the indie shows as well, because like, it's all well and good supporting the big companies because you enjoy that, but you know, if you can't support me here and you support me there, like, how am I supposed to get from point A to point B if you aren't coming to support? But like, I think that's just a personal preference. Like, no one's ever obligated to watch an indie show, but I just want to point out it's a fun day out, especially when there's a bar.
Oh, that is indeed one of a good highlight as well, because it's definitely important to support the independent scene, because you look at somebody like Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway. He started with ICW, traveling all around, got that opportunity with WWE at a young age, ended up getting released, went back to ICW, did stuff with Impact, going around the whole UK, Evolve, and then going back. It really shows that with the independent wrestling scene, you never know who you might see who could end up being a main event for a WrestleMania or a Bound for Glory or a Double or Nothing with AEW. For the independent scene, Kirsty, why do you think some people don't, they'll watch the main products, but they won't go and support their local scene where they might see the next big star of tomorrow?
I don't know, maybe because sometimes the venue's just hard to find, that's possible. Like, there has been times where I've circled an area like 8 times wondering where this venue is. Maybe the cost of it, maybe they feel like, well, I don't think this is worth this amount of money. I don't know. It just all depends. Like, it's advertisement as well. Like, if it's not well advertised, people sometimes just don't know. But I don't think it's out of malice or anything. I think it's just like, I don't know. It's like, maybe they had a bad experience. I really don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't want to go. Like, it's lots of fun.
Oh, absolutely, indeed. Truly, I've had some of the best blast and good times on indie shows. So people, get out of your arses and have a wee look around to your local scene and see what's going on as well, because you never know when you might see a champion. Because I know, Kirsty, you've held some championship gold in the past as well. And I want to talk about one in particular, is the UKW Women's Championship. And I believe the first time you won that was cashing in a dream ticket, if I'm correct?
Yes.
Oof. So for our viewers who might not be familiar with the dream ticket, how did that option come to you?
Well, like, that was that 2 years ago? That was 2 years ago, the first run I had. Originally it was meant to be against Session Moth, just for the dream ticket itself. But unfortunately, the night before, she'd picked up an injury. So it was just unfortunate. So I was just like, when I got there, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then, like, I decided to be a bit of a wee shit and cost Leonie Rose her match just by serenading her. I was being nice, right?
All right.
And then she got hit with a stunner, got pinned. She lost her title, and she proper kicked off with me. So much so, like, she even just went, "This is bullshit." She took the mic and went, "This is bullshit." Oh, I'm like pissing myself laughing at the back, like, you can't say that. So it ended up, like, she just demanded to, like, face me for the dream ticket. So I was like, oh, I'll get a match anyway. So me and her faced off for it. And Angle slammed the bitch off the top and got it. Oh, I really wanted to do that. I was like, oh, it was lush. So that's how it came along. It's like you earn the ticket, and then basically for that full year, it's kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase. You can cash it in on, like, any title, but I think mine was only just for the women's title. But ever since, I think they've abolished that rule, because now we can challenge, any of us can challenge for any titles now. But back then it was just like, it was only the women's dream ticket, like, for the women's title. At least I think that's was. They never specifically said I couldn't cash it in on anyone else. I just really wanted that pink belt. I've never had, title. A belt holds up your jeans. This is a title. The title was a pink strap, and I've never held a title with a pink strap before, and I wanted it.
You know what, Kirsty, fair play to you, because seeing pictures of that title, and the nice silver plate and a nice pink strap as well. Very endearing, very beautiful as well, I got to say. And obviously, getting the opportunity to hold that title as well, what did it mean to you to now think, wow, I'm now representing the women division of this company?
It was really like heartwarming, if that makes sense. Like, I was like, when I won that title, I was holding it and I was nearly in tears, just like, oh my God, I'm being trusted with this. It's like, it was so nice to be trusted like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I wanted to do the best I could do for them. Like, I want to be the best representation that they'll ever have. So like, I didn't want them to doubt putting their faith in me. So like, I felt really humble and also kind of stressed at the same time, because I'm like always thinking, like, what am I not doing? What if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm not doing enough? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course. You know, it's sometimes, I think, with championships, they're very rewarding, but there's pressure. You know, you've got to represent the company. You know, a lot of people will want to face you in matches. You've got to perform and all that. And I think that's something I don't think a lot of wrestling fans appreciate, is that there's a lot of pressure with holding a championship.
Oh, yes.
And I got to know from yourself, Kirsty, and your experience with titles, is there something, if you could have maybe 500 or 1,000 wrestling fans and you get to educate them on what it's like being a champion, what some key points would you educate wrestling fans on?
Oh gosh, key points. Well, for one, it's not a belt. It's a title. It is a championship. Like, that's something I kind of want to drill into everyone's head. It drives me mad when I hear wrestlers saying, "This belt." I'm like, it's a fucking title. It's just, I don't know why. It just sets me off. It's like, it's full of pressure holding a title, because the person who placed that faith in you literally has placed their faith in you to carry that division. Like, you're not just someone who happens to win the championship. No, you are literally the face of that division. So you have to carry yourself accordingly. You have to actively like advertise. Like, if it's like a number one contendership, like Battle Royal or something, you need to be pushing the shit out of that. Like, who's it going to be? Who's like the lamb to the slaughter? You know, depending what your gimmick is. It's also like how you conduct yourself in other companies, because if you go to a different company, yeah, they know you're a champion in that company, chances are. And if you're acting like a rear end or something, or if you don't put on your best performance, then they're like, oh, what's the standard of that show if they're putting a title on that? Do you get what I mean with that? It's
absolutely.
It's very,
well,
it's full of pressure.
It is pressure, absolutely, and it's not only your reputation you're putting on the line, but it's the whole company, the people who run the lights, the ring and everything, the owner. You're not only just representing a company, an entity in itself, but it's the backstage crew. So there's a lot riding on your reputation as a champion, and I can't imagine that pressure day in and day out. Do you think that pressure weans off when you have longer title reigns, or do you think it's always still there?
It depends who you ask, I guess. But I'm always just wanting to like keep my reputation at a good spot, like carry myself well. So like I reckon it could be like, oh, she's a former champion. And then maybe sometimes they'll go like, oh, I wonder why she's a former champion if they're performing that well. Or if you're not performing well, it's like, no wonder they had to drop the title. You know? It does actually connect. I think it all does connect. You should always be giving it your all. You should always be carrying yourself with professionalism. So yeah, I don't think it matters if you title former. I think you should always be like putting your best foot forward.
Absolutely. Well, youngins, if you're watching this right now, it's going to be on the quiz. Professionalism. Study that. Learn the terminology. Learn what that word means. It'll be on the pop quiz. And if you fail it, summer school for all you lot. All right. So make sure to study up. Now, obviously, Kirsty, you've faced some great opponents in the past, and I want to talk about them as well. One I want to talk about is Xia Brookeside. You were in a triple threat, obviously, with Leona Rose as well.
Mm-hmm.
Xia done some stuff with Stardom. She was in a faction with Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May, currently with TNA as well. With Xia Brookeside, I've always felt like she was somebody who was very underrated. I know she had a wee stint down in NXT UK, I believe, and just killing it all around. So for Xia, do you feel like she's been someone that's not really been focused on and has just been underappreciated for a wee while?
I do feel like she is underappreciated, but she's an outstanding wrestler. Outstanding. She is literally, she's got it all. She's got the look, the talent, and the professionalism. She's like, she was the one I first dropped my title to, like the first time. And like, I look at that match fondly still, like, no matter like what the outcome was, it's like, I don't care the fact that I lost. Well, at the time I did care. I was like, you know, like, I can't argue with the fact that it was a good match. It was competitive and it was hard hitting. You know, that's my favourite style of match, you know, like knock 7 shades of shit out of each other, you know. Yeah, then that's when I won it back in that triple threat where Leonie kind of decided to get distracted by looking at the screen when Shauna was talking, so I just need a read off. Mine. Yes, she. What's the best? She's a star. Like, she is the star. Like, she is. She's got the it factor, you know. But I think she prefers like. Well, I think she prefers like TNA over NXT. You know what? Actually, scratch that because I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think it was like more choice, as in like why she kind of like just took a step back. I think she just took a step back a bit rather than like not being like, I'm gonna always say she's not appreciated because she's outstanding. I think that's probably it. I think she just actively took like less work, and then when she was good and ready, it's like, right, off to the moon and look at TNA.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, absolutely as well. She was a part of that Ultimate X match, you know, Lust for, was it Lust for Kill or was it Kill? It's the beer. The tennis is fighting my head right now and it's affecting my head. I'm going to maybe cut down from 6 to 2. But she has absolutely been killing it. I think she would be amazing as a TNA Knockouts champion. If she was to dethrone Jordan Grace, hey, that'd be a hell of a match right there as well. But you mentioned, obviously, Kirsty, loving that hard-hitting style. And I think somebody in the UK, especially in Scotland, who is hard-hitting, especially with her match against Rio, you know, ICW, Molly Spartan, she is definitely a hard hitter as well. And I know you faced Molly as well. That kind of hard-hitting style, and I know Molly definitely gives that. Is there sort of a thrill having that hard style hitting match?
I think so. I think it is just that adrenaline rush. Like, that's what I really enjoy. I don't like it when I get soft strikes. I really don't. I just feel like, come on. You felt how hard I've hit you. Give me it back. But yeah, Molly, she gives a good strike. Like, I enjoyed having trades off with her. Like, she was a pleasure to work with.
Ooh, yeah, I just remember that whole thing with her pushing Rio off the balcony in the garage. Oh, yeah. I remember Al Snow wasn't very happy with that, apparently, whatever his...
I didn't like the way they handled that. And I'm meaning Al Snow. Like, I thought that was a bit harsh. Like, Molly and Rio didn't deserve getting death threats over it. Like, the thing is, they need to know what kind of impact that these certain podcasts can have. Like, if you are proper shitting on someone, then some impressionable fans will go out their way to message that person some nasty stuff, and it's like, fuck off. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, sending death threats? Fuck off. Sorry, that's proper set me off. That, yeah.
No, hey, I agree.
Like,
It is a bit fucking bullshit as well, because I thought they had the best match of that entire show, and I loved watching it. I like watching it back as well. And when I had both of them on, they speak highly of that match. Do you think the reason why people were so against that match is simply because it was a women match? Do you think people would have been fine if it was simply a men's match? Do you think it's a bit of why do you think people maybe had so much hostility and negativity towards that match?
I don't understand personally. I don't want to instantly jump on it's a sexist thing, because it could not be that. I don't ever really want to jump to conclusions like that. But probably because I'm a wrestler, like, I'm aware that them two like agreed upon that spot. Like, see if like Molly just decided to like push her off without saying anything, then like, come on, man, don't do that. But no, she wouldn't do that. She cares about like your safety more than her own. Like, she genuinely cares if you're hurt or not. And I don't know. I really, part of me is just like, is it a jealousy thing? Are you jealous that they had the guts to do it, or that they came up with it? I don't know. Like, I watched that clip and my heart jumped out my chest, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard that anyone was hurt or anything, so it must have gone okay. Like, like, I was actually talking to her about that. That's how I knew she and Rio were getting death threats about it. It's fucking. I personally don't see the issue. If they are both willing to do it and it didn't go wrong, just enjoy the effort and thought that went into it, and don't be a cunt and send death threats. I'm sorry, I used the C word.
Please, if you see me in my daily life, that's like my top 2 words of all time. So, hey, fair dues to that point. Yeah. But I mean, absolutely, because, when I had Molly on, we talked about it. At the end of the day, they are, professionals in their craft. They're not just some fans who, pulled a trampoline out of a skip and went into their backyard. They know what they're doing, and they've been doing this for a long time. Whatever their problem was, let them have their own problems. I implore fans, definitely check out that match. It was an amazing match, and they absolutely killed it. Now, obviously, outside of the squared circle, there's something I need to bring up, Kirsty. What's the fascination with sharks?
Yeah. Like, ever since I was like about 4 or 5, I watched the film Jaws, and it just had the opposite effect on me than everyone else. I just saw this big, beautiful creature, and I wanted to learn more and more about it. So I just took an interest to it, and now I've got this massive collection of shark films. I don't know if I can show you them, but these are just 4. I've got my entire basket next to me, all shark films.
Oh,
yes, wow. I need a full basket.
It reminds me. I saw online once of this. I saw this shark film. I think it was called Shark Exorcist or something like that. I can't remember on the top. Oh, is it in that bin? Oh, Jesus Christ!
I've got it.
Ah, shite. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Wait a minute. You'll love this one.
Santa, oh, for fuck. Santa Jaws. Oh, Lord Almighty. Fair play to you. I mean, Shark Exorcist, I swear I saw that very intoxicated, and it still burns in my mind. Funny film to an extent, and it was interesting to say the least. Maybe a BAFTA nominated for it, because Jesus Christ. But I would like to know, say if you could win a title in the future and you have to customize it, how would you put a shark spin on a title?
Oh, I think what I would do is the side plates would be like 2 sharks just swimming around. maybe like in a yin and yang style, and like it'd have to be white gold with a blue trim in the middle of it, and then the main belt would be a set of shark jaws. I think we'll go with the great white shark kind of style jaws. So like they have the iconic teeth. I would normally go for a tiger shark because I prefer their teeth, but I don't think many people would get it. So I'll just go with like the great white. So it's like their open jaws, and in the middle of it, we'd have like obviously the name of the title, and it would be all white gold with like a silvery blue trim, and the actual strap itself will be blue. I haven't thought about that at all. This is the first time I've actually thought about that, and now I want it. Someone make me that title, and then like give me it.
Well, I think you have to go win some Scottish Women's Championships and get that changed. Introduce it. And it can only be defended in a shark cage match, just for shits and giggles.
Yes. That'll be quite small, I have to say. I don't think you'd have like room to pin or anything in a shark cage.
Maybe just do it in the Atlantic. Just have a wrestling match in the Atlantic Ocean and see how we get on there.
It'll be cold, like.
Get some heaters, see how we go from there. It'll be a killer match. I'm sure Meltzer will like it. Now, obviously, as well, Kirsty, I believe you're a part of a faction as well, Firing Squad, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the initiative and how that group came together?
Well, the creator of the group, Damien Black, he got permission off of Tama Tonga to use the name Firing Squad. So, like, he's legitimately got permission to use that name. He's always really wanted to make a stable, and he basically got the green light in UKW to do it. So the original members were Uther and Damon Crow with Damien, because it was originally just the three of them, and Damon Crow kind of got tired of being in it, so he got parked out. No, he recruited JPR first, and then myself. And then we kicked out Damon Crow because he just lost interest. And basically, like, we just can't run UKW. We run it. No matter how much they like, every other people say, no, you don't run it. I'm like, we do though. We do whatever we want, and you bitch and moan about it all you want. You're welcome to step in the ring with us. You're not going to like the outcome.
I mean, hey, Kirsty, it just shows when you cross the Firing Squad, you're just going to get riddled with bullets. So the best of the way to step out of that. But obviously, you mentioned, Tama Tonga there giving the blessing for the group, and obviously Tama Tonga, Bullet Club, the old days, and that's a hell of a faction in itself. So I want to know if you could maybe do a War Games style match, Firing Squad versus some Bullet Club members. Any Bullet Club members, what Bullet Club members would you like to see face the Firing Squad?
Oh god, that's a hard one because they're all talented. They're all like incredible. So that's a tough one. Oh, well, I would definitely say Carl Anderson.
Ooh, nice.
And Luke Gallows, like they're really good. How many? Like, would it be the same number, basically 5 and 5?
5 on 5.
Like 5, or would it be a 5 on 5? Because I didn't know what you meant. Like, would it just be a tag match, or was it literally?
No, a War Game style match. So 5 on 5.
Oh, you did just say War Games. Sorry, I don't even have the excuse of alcohol. I'm on the energy drinks just to kind of wake me up. I did a brutal workout like today, and I'm just pure drained from it.
Oh,
well, I would definitely say Tama Tonga as well. Like, again, another outstanding one, like wrestler. Kenny Omega.
Oh.
Kenny Omega. If I want a hard hitting match, he's your guy. And I'm struggling picking between Finn Balor and AJ Styles.
Oh,
That's a tough one. I've done like training seminars, like I've like attended them with like Finn Balor, like in my early years.
Mhm.
They were brutal. Like there's always a guarantee someone's going to throw up. Like just like from the amount of like squats and drills we do. Like he doesn't like batter us or anything. You know, he was always lovely. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to say Finn Balor just because of that kind of connection.
Wow. I mean, that's a star-studded match. You know, Tama Tonga, the OC with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, Kenny Omega, and Finn Balor.
We're gonna
Shit.
die.
Well, if that doesn't sell out Murrayfield Stadium, I don't know what the fuck will. So I mean, that would be something to see as well. But you mentioned obviously, you know, with Tama Tonga giving the blessing to the firing squad, he's now in WWE with SmackDown,
Yes.
building this new bloodline. I wonder from yourself, Kirsty, Tama Tonga in WWE with this new bloodline story. What's your thoughts on it?
I dig it. Like I love it. Like I just love, like I can just the fact that you can just give me a match where they just hit each other, and I will love it. Or any kind of acrobatic, most graceful match ever. Like I just love a good hard hitting match, and I'm getting that without even getting a match. Like I'm watching Tama just beat 7 shades of shit out of people, and it's great. Like I like it.
I mean, looking at what happened to Kevin Owens on SmackDown, good fucking god, that whole roster is going to be on notice when Tama Tonga comes rolling. Fuck. I mean, we've mentioned obviously you love the this hard hitting style of matches, and I know within Scotland we've had a deathmatch centric promotion start up in Bleeding Gums Wrestling. Is that something would ever entice you, Kirsty, to maybe trying deathmatch style wrestling?
No, like that's just not my thing, really. I'll be honest. I don't like death matches, but not that it's wrong or anything. It's just not my cup of tea, and it's not the type of match I would do either.
Yeah, it's like what I say. It's like what I say with wrestling. It's a pick and mix. We can all pick our favorite
Yeah.
sweets into the bag and enjoy our sweets, and then leave some of the sweets behind. But I know a match you will be excited for. Obviously, is you're in a UKW Women's Championship Scramble match coming, and I want to know obviously there's many great competitors in that match, and I'm sure when it comes down to you and one final person, that will be challenging because you'll eliminate everyone else because you're obviously a guest of the show, so you're amazing. I got to know who would, out of all the women in that match, who would be the one you could see being at the final between you and them?
It would be Leone. It would be like the current champion, Leone. She's like grown so much as a wrestler. She's ridiculously tough, very resilient, and she's always working on her craft. So I would definitely say that she's the biggest threat. But she beat me for the championship, so like I'm gonna be thinking that like that's not to like what's the word, like count out the other 3 girls like Lisa, Ruby, and Lucy. Like they are hardworking ladies, and Ruby, she hits hard too. She's a hard hitter. I really like it. But I think the biggest threat is Leone.
Fair play. I mean, this is going to be a hard hitting scramble match for sure. Now, obviously, Kirsty, as well with the UK scene, we're getting so much. Obviously, we mentioned Clash of the Castle Scotland coming over the Hydro, but in August, AEW All In will be coming back for Wembley Stadium. And I've always been a voucher for this. I would love to see this. Is on 0 Hour, a UK showcase battle royale for the men and the women, showcasing all of our talent on that grand stage. And I want to know if you get that opportunity, and of course TK will fork out the money. You could get the Jaws theme to enter to have some laughs. I want to know what other wrestlers would you like to see given this opportunity in a UK showcase battle royale at Wembley?
Oh, right. Is this like in Scotland or just the UK in general?
UK.
Well, I would say Leonie Rose as well. Like again, because she's just improved so much, and she is a hard-working lass, so I think she would deserve a shot. Aisha Raymond, I think Amazon Aisha Raymond, who was also in the Mae Young Classic, she's like a hard worker as well, and I think she would deserve a spot. Who else? There's loads of them. Like, there's just so many people, but then all the names just come out your head. It's like, I swear down, I do know the scene. Just so bad with names. Been dropped to my head too many times. That's my sticker or story to it.
Fair play indeed. But I would love to know maybe if something comes out of this amazing showcase match and the winner gets maybe an opportunity on the main card to face anyone from AEW, and we'll say you win maybe with a shark kind of pin, because that would be absolutely hilarious, and you get a match on the main card. Is there anyone in AEW you would like to have a match with? And if given that opportunity on Wembley, what would that mean to you?
Oh, wow. I would definitely, I'd say Saraya.
Ooh.
Like, I think Saraya would be an outstanding opponent to have, because she's got years upon years of knowledge on. And like, she was another one that her career was cut short, but thankfully we've got another chance with her. Mm-hmm. So I would love a match with her or Toni Storm. But again, I do know them roughly, but I've only seen met them once or twice. Mm-hmm. But they were both nice both times.
Oh, hey, lovely. I mean, if you get to face Toni Storm, obviously timeless Toni Storm, maybe we could get a black and white shark movie out with it. So there's rewards out of all ends with that.
Yeah, well, it's the knowledge that I seek.
Knowledge is key.
It is. Hey. It's like, knowledge is power. Like, I will learn so much from it.
And that's what we love to see. Learn and live is the best way to live life. Kirsty, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the Soul Sessions. But before we wrap up, I want to ask one final question.
Of course.
The Scottish scene itself, I think, is special. It offers so much variety with it. But say if somebody from the US or Mexico or Dubai or even Japan came over and they were at a show that you were at and they asked you, hey, Kirsty, could you describe, what Scottish wrestling is and what it means to be a Scottish wrestler? How would you give them that answer?
Well, that's a good question, that. Like, I would say as a Scottish wrestler, just in general, you'd need to be tough. Like, you're tough, gritty, but also full of banter. But you still have that professionalism down. Like, you can still have a laugh, but when it comes to business, it's business. Like in Scotland, I think everyone should be a hard hitter. We all should be very have a certain level of toughness around us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. That's as a summary. That's what I would say.
I think that's a very good point, and I'm sure many others would love to come and face Kirsty Love herself, because where is the love at the end of the day? Well, folks, thank you very much for tuning in here for another episode of the Soul Sessions. And I know in our modern day and age, people are very lazy. You won't cook a meal, you'll choose Uber Eats. You don't want to wait for your shipping, so you can immediately go for that 20 quid 3-day shipping or some crap like that. But I'll make it very convenient and easy for you. Kirsty Love's Instagram will be in the description of this video. You can click it, see her journey, and of course I will put a link to UK wrestling as well, so you can maybe go and support that company and see Kirsty Love as reigning champion. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in. Finish your pints, put your chair away, and hopefully I'll see you again soon on the next episode of the Soul